On a summer's day in 1943, history held its breath. The earth itself trembled as thousands of steel beasts met in an apocalyptic ballet of fire. Amidst the roar, a single heartbeat. A generation fought and bled, their fate interwoven with the biggest battle the world would ever know. This was Kursk, a name etched in the annals of war, a cauldron where nations gambled everything, and the very future hung by a thread. For years, the world had been consumed by the inferno of World War II, but nowhere burned hotter, nowhere held more consequence than the Eastern Front. It was a furnace, a meat grinder of unprecedented scale, where human will and steel clashed day after relentless day. The stakes were absolute. After the crushing, soul-shattering defeat at Stalingrad, Nazi Germany stood at a precipice. They knew one more gamble, one more roll of the dice, might be their last. This was not merely about territory, it was about regaining momentum, breaking the Soviet spirit, and perhaps, just perhaps, snatching victory from the jaws of despair. The prize, a seemingly innocuous bulge in the front lines, known as the Kursk Salient. Yet, within its embrace, lay the destiny of millions. Across the fields, a new breed of steel titans gathered, their engines rumbling with a terrifying promise. Nazi Germany assembled its deadliest armor yet, but the Soviet Union watched, waited, and fortified. They knew what was coming. This wasn't just a battle, it was an existential struggle. Imagine armies so vast, they defied comprehension. Thousands upon thousands of tanks, millions of men, poised on a knife edge. The scale was truly biblical. Two titanic forces, ideologies diametrically opposed, were now on a collision course. The entire world held its breath, awaiting the inevitable impact. The outcome here, in the vast plains of the Soviet Union, would not just decide the fate of nations, but the very trajectory of human history. So come with us now, and witness the heart of the storm. Feel the immense weight of that summer of 1943, and understand its enduring echoes. After Stalingrad, winter bit deeper than ever. The ghosts of fallen comrades whispered across the frozen steppe, a haunting reminder. Nazi Germany, once so formidable, now bled. Every victory felt like a deepening wound, every breath a struggle. The Eastern Front had become an abyss. They sought desperately to regain what was lost, to find footing in blood-soaked soil. The grand ambitions of the Reich were shattered.
We cannot push
Yet,
further east.
a flicker of hope, a desperate gamble, began to form in the shattered command. They knew the cost,
hold this position
but to retreat was to admit defeat,
If this
a
line
concept
breaks,
alien
the
to their
entire
leader.
front collapses.
The initiative had to be seized. The days of effortless advance were long gone. Now, every mile gained was paid for in unimaginable human sorrow and endless sacrifice. This was not about conquest anymore. It was about survival, about proving strength where only weakness remained. A heavy, somber decision. The land itself seemed to resist them, vast and unforgiving. The brutal winter of 1942 still echoed in their bones. Every fallen soldier, every shattered tank, a silent plea for a different path. But the wheels of war turned relentlessly forward. The Eastern Front had a way of stripping away illusions. Only stark reality remained, demanding a desperate all-or-nothing gamble. And so, the plan was born. Operation Citadel. A final, audacious stroke to sever the Soviet heart from its very body. Its strategic motivations were clear, if brutally ambitious. Pinch off the colossal salient, encircle Soviet forces, break their will. For Hitler, it was more than strategy. It was pride, a desperate belief that victory could still be snatched from defeat. They hoped to inflict a blow so devastating, so final, that the Eastern Front would at last fall silent, forever changed. But across the lines, the Soviet Union watched, waited. Their resolve, forged in the fires of Stalingrad, was unbreakable. They had seen the worst, endured the unimaginable. Their homes, their very existence, depended on holding this sacred ground. Retreat was not an option. Surrender an
Move
unthinkable
slowly.
betrayal.
Keep
They had
scanning
nowhere
the
left to
perimeter.
fall, nowhere left to run. Each shovel of dirt, each bullet, each sacrifice was for the Rodina, for the future of their children. A solemn, profound oath. They had
Faster,
learned
comrades.
brutal lessons.
We must secure
Every
the
inch
wire
of ground
before
would
the
be
sun
defended.
sets.
Every attack met with fierce, unyielding resistance. And in the middle of this vast, bloody chess game, a strange, ominous shape had formed on the map. The Kursk Salient. A massive bulge, almost an invitation. It pushed deep into Nazi German territory. A tantalizing, yet dangerous target. It was a strategic nerve center, threatening Nazi German flanks and providing a launchpad for Soviet offensives. A dagger pointed west. Its very existence was an affront, a constant thorn in the side of the Wehrmacht. It demanded action, and action was coming. For Nazi Germany, cutting it off meant severing a vital artery, crippling the Soviet war machine, perhaps turning the tide. For the Soviet Union, losing it meant catastrophe, a devastating blow that could unravel all they had fought for since Stalingrad. Both sides understood its profound significance. This was not merely territory, it was the balance of power, the future of the war. And so, the meticulous preparations began. A quiet, furious scramble across hundreds of miles. The world held its breath. On the Nazi German side, engineers worked
Locked in.
tirelessly,
Now
constructing complex defenses,
Quickly.
preparing for the counterblow they knew would come. But it was the
Faster, keep
Soviet
digging.
Union that
We must
transformed
finish
the
before
salient
dawn.
into an
Move
impregnable
the truck,
fortress,
quickly.
a deadly trap unseen in history. Every man knew his role. Every position was chosen with grim precision. The silence before the storm was deafening. Unprecedented numbers of men were moved. A human tide, flowing towards destiny, towards the inevitable, colossal clash. They came from every corner, leaving behind families, quiet lives, answering the brutal call of war once more. Artillery, in numbers
together now,
never before
push!
imagined,
Moving
rumbled into
forward,
place.
don't stop!
Thousands of iron beasts, ready to unleash their thunderous fury.
Azimuth
Each gun a promise of
340.
fire and steel. A grim guardian of the
Confirmed.
motherland.
Elevation
The
set.
earth itself
Target acquired.
seemed to tremble. And the armor. The deadliest machines yet seen. The fearsome tigers and panthers rolled onto the field, silent and deadly. These steel behemoths, symbols of Nazi German engineering, carried the hopes of a desperate nation, promising a decisive victory. Yet the Soviet Union had its own steel titans, and more of them, patiently awaiting the onslaught. The stage was set, the greatest tank battle ever conceived, a crucible of fire and fate, lay just days away. Humanity held its breath. After the brutal winter, the Russian steppe, once frozen, now breathed. But it held a new, ominous secret beneath its gleaming surface. The Soviet Union was preparing a fortress, a shield of earth and steel, for a storm they knew was coming. Day and night, under watchful eyes, men toiled. They dug with a grim determination, carving out their defiance. Tens of thousands of kilometers of trenches, a labyrinth designed to swallow the might of Nazi Germany's panzers. This was no ordinary defense. It was a layered, intricate trap, meticulously laid across the Kursk Salient. Beneath the earth, a million mines lay waiting, silent teeth ready to bite into advancing armor. Each mine was a promise of destruction, a small, deadly guardian of the Soviet homeland. Hidden strong points, the formidable pack fronts, bristled with anti-tank guns, their muzzles staring into the void. These were not scattered defenses, but carefully orchestrated killing zones designed for maximum devastation. 7 deep defensive lines, stretching over 250 kilometers. A fortress forged from sheer will and countless sacrifices. Even the tanks were part of this intricate web, dug in like immobile pillboxes, awaiting their moment. Every hill, every valley, every stream
Secure this position
was
immediately.
integrated into this colossal
I want the armor
defense,
moved up by
a
0600.
testament to meticulous planning. Across the lines, Nazi Germany prepared its own answer. New steel beasts, symbols of their industrial might. The Tiger Y, a hunter unlike any seen before, rolled forward with an almost arrogant confidence, and its sleek, powerful cousin, the Panther, promised to redefine armored warfare with its speed and protection. These new titans were hoped to be the hammer that would shatter the Soviet fortress once and for all. Operation Citadel,
We must focus
a
our main
bold
thrust
stroke,
directly through the salient
designed to
here.
pinch
It
off
is
the
only
Kursk
way to encircle their
Salient,
forces.
reclaiming
The
the
risk is
initiative.
too great.
A vast, mechanized army, eager to unleash its fury, believing in the crushing power of their new weapons. The nights before battle are always the longest, filled with unspoken fears and the quiet prayers of soldiers. Each man knew what was coming. The earth held its breath, waiting for the first crack of thunder. On both sides, men waited, their hearts heavy with the weight of impending war, the dawn promising chaos. Then, silence broke. Not by the Germans, but by the Soviets. A desperate preemptive strike. In the early hours of July 5th, 1943, a titanic Soviet artillery barrage ripped through the quiet dawn. A desperate gamble, hoping to disrupt the German offensive before it even began, shaking the very ground. But the German response was swift and terrible. Their own colossal barrage thundered across the front. The ground became a maelstrom of fire and steel as Operation Citadel unleashed its full, brutal fury. Through the smoke and fury, the Panzerkeil emerged, steel wedges, driven deep into the Soviet lines. The sheer force of this armored tide was overwhelming, crushing everything in its path. A terrifying sight. For the men in the trenches, it was a terrifying symphony of destruction, a relentless march of giants. Each meter gained was paid for in blood, a testament to the Soviet soldiers' grim, desperate defense. In the north, a small railway junction, Ponyri, became a crucible, the infamous northern grinder. Here, the battle devolved into a brutal, house-to-house, hand-to-hand struggle, a savage, close-quarters fight. Panzers struggled amidst the ruins, becoming targets for determined Soviet tank hunter teams. Days blurred into a nightmare of constant shelling and desperate charges, a true meat grinder for both sides. Ponyri became a testament to human endurance, a place where young lives were tragically extinguished. To the south, the Elite II SS Panzer Corps launched their relentless southern drive, a different kind of terror. Their advance was measured, powerful, yet meeting a wall of Soviet resistance, stronger than anticipated. The defensive lines held, though battered, each inch of ground fiercely contested, bought with immeasurable courage. Both armies faced agonizing tactical challenges. The human cost began to mount, a somber toll of lives. The initial clashes were just a prelude. The largest tank battle in history was only just beginning to unfold. The world watched, unaware of the immense sacrifices yet to be made in this colossal, devastating struggle for supremacy. The vast steppes of Kursk, once peaceful, now held their breath. A colossal storm was brewing, unseen yet deeply felt. It was here, amidst the sunflower fields, that the fate of the war, perhaps even the world, would be decided. Hearts pounded in chests, for they knew what lay ahead. The biggest tank battle the world would ever witness. This was the apocalyptic climax, the clash of titans at Prokhorovka, a moment etched into the annals of history. July 12, 1943. A morning that promised an inferno, a day when courage would be tested beyond all human limits. Both sides converged on Prokhorovka, a small village that would soon bear witness to unimaginable devastation. The tigers of Nazi Germany, with their superior range and armor, stood as formidable, almost invincible giants. Facing them, the Soviet T-34s, more agile but vulnerable. Their strategy: close the distance, negate the advantage. Then, the order came. A desperate death ride of 1,200 tanks, roaring forward into the jaws of destruction. They surged across the steppes, a wave of steel and fury, knowing retreat was not an option for any of them. Every meter gained was a triumph, every obstacle overcome, a testament to the raw, visceral will to fight. The Nazi German crews watched, astonished, as the Soviet horde ignored their devastating long-range fire. Losses mounted instantly, yet the T-34s pressed on, driven by a desperate need to survive, to overcome. Their only hope was to reach point-blank range, to turn the tide in a brutal, chaotic close-quarters brawl. The impact was apocalyptic. Steel met steel, a deafening roar signaling the beginning of true hell. The battlefield instantly dissolved into a maelstrom of smoke, fire, and twisted metal. It was a dance of death, where survival hinged on a split-second decision, a lucky shot, a desperate maneuver. Inside those metal beasts, men fought not for glory, but for their very next breath, their very existence. Visibility plummeted. Friend and foe became indistinguishable in the choking haze of exhaust and explosions. Prokhorovka became a crucible, forging legends and consuming souls in equal measure, a true test of endurance. Burning wrecks littered the field, silent monuments to the fallen, yet the living pressed on through the inferno. When tanks failed, men fought with rifles, with fists, a primal struggle for survival amidst the chaos. Every man became a warrior, fighting for his comrades, for his homeland, for a future he might not see. The roar of cannons, the shriek of shells, the screams of men, a symphony of destruction that echoed endlessly. Amidst the horror, small acts of heroism shone like embers, testaments to the unbreakable human spirit. The once green fields were now black, scorched, a barren wasteland born from the fury of warring nations. Even as the sun began to set, the fighting raged. An unrelenting, unforgiving struggle that defied description. The bravery of the T-34 crews was unmatched, charging head-on, sacrificing themselves to level the playing field. This wasn't just a battle, it was an ordeal, a trial by fire that would forever shape the destiny of millions. For 12 agonizing hours, this clash of titans raged, a brutal testament to the human capacity for both destruction and courage. But Prokhorovka was only part of the story. Far to the north, another Soviet hammer was about to fall. Operation Kutuzov, a massive counteroffensive, was launched. Its goal, to smash the Nazi German flanks. This coordinated attack would catch the Nazi Germans off guard, forcing them to divert vital resources. Suddenly, the German flanks crumpled. The relentless Soviet advance created a new, undeniable threat. The grand strategy of Operation Citadel was unraveling, pulled apart by simultaneous, overwhelming attacks. The tide was turning, not just at Prokhorovka, but across the entire Kursk Salient. Slowly, painfully. But how did it come to this? Hitler's critical strategic errors proved to be the decisive factor. The agonizing delays, waiting for new tanks, gave the Soviet Union precious months to build impenetrable defenses. Then, the splitting of forces, pulling precious divisions away, weakening the very spearhead of his grand plan. These blunders, born of arrogance and overconfidence, ultimately sealed the fate of Operation Citadel. The German advance was decisively halted, a turning point etched forever in the blood-soaked soil of Kursk. The roar of Kursk faded, leaving behind only the cold echo of defeat for Nazi Germany. Exhaustion clung to every soldier. They pulled back, a weary tide receding from a shore too fiercely defended. Their supplies dwindled, spirits broken. The cost was unbearable. So many young lives, so much steel, swallowed by the vast plains of the Soviet Union. Something fundamental had shifted.
The Soviet advance gained
The
momentum
initiative,
in early
once firmly in
1943,
Hitler's grasp, now
pushing the
trembled,
German lines
poised
back
to
across
change
the Don
hands
River.
forever.
If they
Yet,
break
even
through
as the
here,
Nazi
the entire
Germans
line
withdrew,
collapses.
the
We don't have
Soviet
the armor
Union
to
was
counter
not
that
idle.
push.
A new
Then
storm
we
was
use the
brewing,
artillery we positioned
meticulously
yesterday.
planned. Their deep battle doctrine, honed through bitter experience, promised to tear through the depleted Nazi German lines. Across the vast front, the Soviet Union gathered strength. Thousands of guns, silent for now, awaited the command to unleash their fury. They remembered the sacrifices, the fallen. Fueled by a deep resolve, they prepared to reclaim their battered homeland. In the south, a massive offensive, code-named Operation Rumyantsev, was set to roll like an unstoppable red tide. Then, the earth trembled. Thousands of Soviet guns roared to life, shattering the dawn and weary Nazi German defenses. Steel monsters surged forward, a red wave crashing against a broken wall. The momentum was palpable, truly irreversible. Exhausted, depleted, the Nazi German lines crumbled. Years of relentless fighting had taken their toll, leaving them vulnerable. It was a brutal dance of push and pull, a relentless Soviet advance. They fought for every inch. Deep battle unfolded as planned. Breakthroughs turned into ruptures, isolating pockets of Nazi German resistance, one by one. Mechanized units poured through, exploiting every weakness, cutting off retreat paths. Tactical gains became strategic victories. Hope flickered to life. Belgorod, scarred but defiant, was finally liberated from Nazi German tyranny.
We are here now.
Profound relief, a
Please
somber
take this.
joy, a
Thank you,
quiet
sister.
relief
We are
washed
grateful.
over the town. The heavy weight of occupation had finally lifted. Belgorod's liberation was more than just territory. It was a defiant statement, a promise kept by the Soviet Union. The red tide pushed onward, relentless. Their next target, the vital industrial city of Kharkov, loomed ahead. Nazi Germany, desperate to cling to its gains, dug in fiercely around Kharkov, preparing for a brutal last stand. The battle for Kharkov was a grueling house-to-house struggle. Every street, every building, a testament to raw courage. Amidst the rubble and smoke, ordinary men displayed extraordinary bravery, pressing forward against overwhelming odds. Finally, Kharkov too was free. Another dark chapter closed, reclaimed by the unwavering resolve of the Soviet Union. Kursk marked the pivot point. The strategic initiative, once elusive, now firmly belonged to the Soviet Union. Nazi Germany would never again fully regain the offensive. Their retreat from Kursk was truly the beginning of the end. The victory came at an immense, heartbreaking cost. So many sacrifices, so much bravery, etched into the very soil. Their bravery, their resilience, transformed the tide of history. These were truly the unsung heroes of their generation. Kursk, a name whispered with reverence and sorrow, became the irreversible turning point of the Second World War. It forever changed the course of destiny, a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of unimaginable darkness. Kursk was more than clashing steel. It was the moment destiny shifted, a sacrifice that echoed far beyond the battlefield. This was where the tide turned, decisively. From this point, Nazi Germany's dream of Eastern dominion withered and died. We must remember the human spirit, forged in the fires of suffering. Their endurance, a testament to unwavering resolve. Victory came at an unimaginable price. Every life lost, a story untold, a future unlived, etched into history. The Soviet Union's strategic genius, born from harsh lessons, outmaneuvered a formidable foe, changing the war's course. For Nazi Germany, Kursk was a fatal gamble. Hubris and miscalculation led to an irreversible decline, a tragic misstep. Kursk didn't just reshape the East, it fueled Allied hopes, accelerating the end of a global nightmare. Its impact resonated worldwide. The echoes of Kursk still whisper through time, reminding us of courage, sacrifice, and the profound cost of ambition. This epic struggle shaped our world. What lessons do you carry from Kursk? Share your reflections below.